Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again. I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing The Fall of the House of Usher, episodes 5 through 8, the second half, which is streaming on Netflix beginning October 12, 2023. Look in the history for the first half, which was a fun episode. Nice long one talking about those. Lots of fun things. But as we get into this, let me introduce my crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I am fired up. I'm doing great.
Oh.
Life is happening.
Fire it up.
Stuff is fun.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
That's the clue. All right, joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
Fire it up. I'm with you. Every time you do it, I'm like, yep, I'm with you. I'll be your little posse.
Yep. And of course, rounding out the crew is the ever lovable, the one and only, say it with me, Dave Dreher.
Hey guys, everyone's all so energetic. I'll tell you.
You too, man. Come on, join the club.
I'm tired. I was at the convention all weekend. I'm wore out, man. I'm ready to take a nap.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what convention you were at, sir.
Living Dead weekend. This was the 55th anniversary of Night
fun.
of the Living Dead. They had it at Evans City, where, of course, Night of the Living Dead was filmed. It was nice. They do a wonderful convention. Really nice. It's small and it's quaint, and the people are super friendly. It was nice. And they had all the surviving cast members that are there. Judith O'Day was there, and Kyra Schoen, and Russ Striner, and John Russo, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just it's tiring. Tom was not there. He was at Scarefest in Louisville, I believe. Isn't that what Scarefest was? Okay. Yeah. So he was down there. He was doing that show. So this was more of a celebration of the original night.
Sure.
But they did the guy that played Big Daddy in Land of the Dead was there. So he didn't have anything to do with. I mean, he's still part of the Romero universe, right? I mean,
he certainly is.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun.
He was there. He just wasn't on screen. Right? All right.
That's it. That's all right. Exactly. All right. But yeah, good time. Good job, LDW. Keep it up.
All right. Well, of course, we're here to review Fall of the House of Usher and Netflix, and Mike Flanagan doing his shenanigans. Once again, and we're excited to talk about this. Of course, this one is Edgar Allan Poe, and what we're going to do, based off the works of Edgar Allan Poe, I guess I should elaborate. And then what we're going to do is give you our first impression of the second half, and then that will be spoiler free. That's going to be difficult because it's full of spoilers. It's the last half of the show. And then we'll get into a discussion. We'll get into spoilers. And like I said, there's a lot of spoilers to be had. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And there are a lot of favorite scenes to be had. So it's going to be very exciting and very fun. So stick around with us. It's going to be a blast. And if you enjoy this review or any of the other reviews that we have on the site, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click will help us find more horror fans just like you. All right, let's take a look at the card. Not only the card, but the cards. All right, we'll start off with this. This is The Fall of House of Usher. I don't think it has. It does have the. Look at the poster right there. Episodes 5 through 8 available streaming on Netflix beginning October 12th, 2023. Episode 5 was The Telltale Heart. Victorine inches closer to testing her heart technology on a patient until tensions erupt between her and Alessandra. Dupin makes a chilling confession. Episode 6, Goldbug. Pym digs up disturbing information about Verna. With her marriage on the decline, Tamerlane, or Tammy, hosts a turbulent product launch that shatters. Shatters expectations. That's rather appropriate. Episode 7, The Pit and the Pendulum. I think we were all waiting for that one. A furious Frederick sets out to handle unfinished business. Madeline receives an ominous message from an old haunt and Dupin grows wary of Roderick's motives. And the final episode 8, is The Raven. In 1980, Roderick and Madeline seize the chance to cement their fortune for a price. Decades later, the remaining Ushers reckon with consequences. That's exactly what happens in each and every one of those. Yes. Directors are Mike Flanagan and Michael Fimangari. I think I got the G and the N backwards, but let's go with it. Writers are Mike Flanagan, Danny Parker, Rebecca Klingel, Jamie Flanagan, and Kylie Sanchez.
I wonder if it is like Klingle. I wonder what it is actually.
Klingel?
Like, that's an interesting. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to distract you, but I'm like, I don't even know Klingle. It's kind of a cool name. Sorry.
Well, if it's an R, it'd be Klinger, but I guess based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. But don't ever go by what I say about names. The class includes Carla Gugino, Bruce Greenwood, Mary McDonald, Henry Thomas, Kate Siegel, Raul Colley, Samantha Sloyan, right? Sloyans, I don't know. T-Nia Miller, Surian Sukata, Ruth Codd, Crystal Malin, Karen, Carl Lumby, and the one and only Mark Hamill.
Oh my gosh, with all these extra people. Yeah, I was like, no, you just naming all the cast at that point, because that's crazy.
But it's an incredible cast, and we'll be getting into that. So let's start off by giving our first impressions of the last half of this series. And Dave, boom, you're up first.
Boom. It's been almost a week since I watched it. I was so impressed with the first 4 episodes, like right away, literally after we recorded last week's show. I'm like, I gotta watch the next 4 episodes. So I did. I wish now I'd have waited a little bit because, quite frankly, they've all kind of blended together. I can't remember what happened in what episode at this point. But what I do remember is the formula that was so tantalizing in the first 4, like, started to bore me a little bit in the last 4. We'd get the conversation at the beginning, and then things would happen, and then we'd get the big climactic thing, right?
Right.
So I'm kind of glad it was only 8 episodes long, because I think if they would have continued with it, it would have gotten to be a bit too repetitive. But the premise that they set up in the first 4 episodes remains strong in this. It's still amazing writing in the way that they modernized the works of Poe and kind of brought them into this the storyline that is so prevalent right now with the opioid crisis, and with big business and corporate greed and all this other shit going on, and they could bring it all in. I think it played out beautifully. I really, really do. I just got a little tired of the same formula over and over and over and over, with the one exception being the Pit and the Pendulum episode, because I thought that one was very, very crafty. I liked it. I've heard a lot of bitching online about the way it ended, but I didn't really have a I don't know if people didn't get it or what, but I had no problem with the ending. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think this remains. It will become considered a masterwork for Mike Flanagan. I think it's something that all mini series, because that's kind of what I count this as. It's kind of a mini series.
Yes.
Mini series moving forward will be judged by this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's high praise, actually. Jeff Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of Fall of House of Usher?
Well, I loved the second half just as much as the first half. And I agree about the writing. The writing is unbelievable. And the people doing the acting are so great that I could just listen to Carla Gugino say her lines over and over. She is so smooth. It's an interesting character, an interesting way to play that character. So I just love it. And I don't know, I guess I like the format. So I don't know what else to say about it now without giving out spoilers, but again, I loved it. And I think it's his best one yet. I think it's better than Haunting of Hill House. So,
oh, wow.
I was engrossed. In fact, I did the same thing Dave did. I watched it right away after we did it. And then I watched it again last night.
Oh,
I wish I would have watched it again
because I wanted to take notes and stuff, and I was just astounded at the way that they wove the story together and the way it was written. I just thought it was great.
I appreciate that.
So many memorable lines.
Crystal, what was your first impression of Fall of House of Usher, the second 4 episodes?
So I'm confused as to why anyone would have anything negative to say about the ending of this, other than the only thing that I can assume is that they're not a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, because if they know anything about this is actually making me angry, because let me tell you, this is Mike Flanagan's absolute best series he's ever done, easily. Like, I hated Midnight Mass, and he has completely redeemed himself in my eyes. I loved every single freaking second of this show. But I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan, so I am maybe the perfect audience for this. But like, there's never any happy endings here. like I don't know what they were expecting, and of course the whole thing was telegraphed as far as like what was going to happen. You knew. I mean, the stories were kind of changed around and kind of meshed and intermingled with his life and things like that, which made it interesting. That was good, because it did lead to some surprises for me, because I wasn't completely sure what was going to happen. I really did think that there was a rat, among the family, and then, you find out the truth or whatever. But this was, I cried. I full on boohooed. And like, yeah, I love that he weaved in, some opposed poetry and some, this was excellent. I don't know. I have nothing bad to say about this at all. I think it's exquisite. I love it. And actually, I think I even liked, I liked the whole series, but dang, I think I liked the last episode. The last 4 episodes went darker. It got dark. It just progressively got darker.
It was pretty dark all along.
There's some really well, no, not like it got dark. Because, well, you didn't have a husband who had his burned wife taken out of a hospital and put in his own care, and then rip her freaking teeth out. No, it definitely got worse. I could totally show you how much worse it got in the second half. The second half got like, I was like, is he serious right now? Cheese and rice with that, and then her cutting open her girlfriend and putting in
spoilers. Why?
Well, I mean, but we're talking about the second half. If you haven't watched it, then you shouldn't be watching this. Like, this is the second half of the series too. Anyway, come on. Like, we're talking about the last 4 episodes. Come on, watch them. And if you like them, you're gonna want to watch them all at once, because it's hard to put it down. I got to be honest with you. It's so good. I would definitely watch this again. Sorry.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan. Have been for a long time, as Dave could probably recount, when me and Santos would go back and forth about his earlier work.
Back in the days of Fuckulous.
I was already a fan, but he came around with the Haunting of Hill House, and that still remains my favorite.
Excellent.
Because of a lot of reasons, but this is a superior product from him by no stretch of the imagination. Just the crafting of weaving all these different elements of the different stories, and even the nature of Poe himself. Some of his own quirks are in the story, even to the point that they kind of suggest that Roderick would be a Poe if he hadn't made a certain choice in his life, which was, I thought, incredibly fascinating. Yeah. The dialogue is insane. The latter half of this I thought had incredible camera tricks in it. more so than the first half.
Mhm.
There's a couple scenes in here that we'll talk about here shortly that were just truly visually amazing. The ending, while I don't think it really necessarily had any surprises, certainly had a lot of fun. And the more people that encountered our Raven, if you will, or the Mask of the Red Death, whatever she is, we'll get into what she is later too. Every conversation between an usher and or sometimes not an usher and her is just truly fascinating. And then they even you even get portions of Poe's poetry. I'd say that 10 times fast in it, and it always works out really well. And I've always been more of a fan of the films based on Poe's work than his own work. I think I said that in the first half.
Wow.
Not that I don't like his work. I just love Corman's films, and then some of the AIP ones too.
But I think the problem is you probably have not had someone read it to you with the proper feeling, because his poetry is so emotional. It is so
I'm not
gripping. It is
saying
the
isn't.
most beautiful, sad, like, oh, his heart just, sorry.
Yep.
I love
No,
that guy, though.
no.
Like,
Trust me,
he's beautiful.
I absolutely love his work, but I've always been a huge fan of the adaptations, good or bad, for whatever reason. And I think my point, which I was leading up to, Crystal, wasn't about his writing, but more about the adaptation of his writing. Was, I think, as much as I love those, that this trumped that 1,000%. This is
I agree.
Probably, even though it's modernized and it isn't, it lacks that Gothic feel that other adaptations have. It captured the tone and the darkness and the doom and gloom that you would usually feel in his work marvelously well. I
think
kind
that's
of
a perfect description.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I do kind of see what Dave's talking about, and the formula.
It's
the
a
formula
formula.
was it was very, very. They stuck to it. They stuck to it. They did not deviate from it much at all, and it did get. Yeah. By the time Goldbug was around, I was kind of like, okay, let's get going. But yeah, I was dying to wait for what happened with Pit and the Pendulum, and then of course the Raven sewed everything up. To me, it's a marvelous piece of work, and I think any Poe fan, any horror fan, any Flanagan fan should watch it and enjoy it.
Yes,
let's get into some spoilers. Because there's a lot.
Spoilers.
Of course, each and every episode, another Usher dies. In the last episode, a couple Ushers die. The remaining Ushers. Right? There's 3 Ushers dying.
Three of them.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
I am sad of one particular Usher made me very
obviously
unhappy.
That's supposed to be, but you know what? Like, I obviously knew that was coming. The only way that could have been saved is if she wasn't his child.
Yeah, because it was all based on the bloodline. So.
But you knew that wasn't the case, because Roderick had already mentioned how many times she reminded him of himself and the grandmother. So you knew that it was like, and I was like, yeah, I had already accepted that, and the moment I heard what the deal was, I was like, oh. But I mean, let me tell you what pissed me off. It's like, no one in their right mind. I wish there would have been a way to be able to rewrite this where he hadn't already had children, because I can't see anyone who actually has already had children making a deal like that. Now, making that deal before you have kids and not thinking about the repercussions, I could see that happening, but there is no way in Hades I would give up any of my children's life for something for myself. What it's disgusting.
What a scum.
Well, but people do stuff like that all the time. I'm not saying I can't understand it, but people
it's not unheard of, right? So.
Yeah.
But the way he seemed to care for his kids, seemed to say that he didn't really feel that way. That's why I'm confused.
It was
He
I
wasn't.
know what
I
I'm
felt like
saying?
it was more about power and
Yeah.
and
He was thinking he was going to give them everything they needed, not really thinking about the consequences of that. I mean, I understand. He didn't think it through. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But because he
That's
jumped
putting
right
it
at it.
mildly.
Yeah, he didn't think it through. But what? Okay, so Verna, which is of course an anagram for Raven, is she Death? Is she Mask of the Red Death, or is there another character in the Poe?
She
works?
is the Raven, but
Right.
Yeah.
Raven is the harbinger of doom,
Okay.
like
I
a
mean,
harbinger
she's
of death. I mean,
she's
she
the
is
consequence,
death
right? I mean, she's
and
the
Raven.
consequence.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been around for ages.
Ever.
She says,
Mhm.
right? So,
but
I
she
don't-
did say specifically that she decided to come up top.
Yeah, that's
She
what I
said
heard.
that
Yeah.
word
she
for
did.
word.
She did. Yeah, she did.
So yes, I'd say she's a raven, but what is the raven? You can
Mhm.
look at the raven as not as just an actual raven. You can look at it as definitely more than that. Like she mentioned, the harbinger, like the bringer. Yeah. So yes,
'cause-
she is, but she's also quite a bit more than just a bird
Yeah. Well, she is literally the Mask of the Red Death in one episode. So,
in that one episode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but she, I love the reveal of all the back pictures of all the famous people she was seen around and stuff, and she.
All the people that had horrible family.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
and
the bad, greedy,
Mhm.
shitty
Yep.
people. Yeah.
and she flaunted, being able to intervene in that quite a bit. I was two of her interactions really struck me.
Of course.
One interaction
With
was
Mark, probably, right?
Well,
With
we'll
Mark
get there.
Snicker.
We'll get there. Yeah, but the first one, of course, is with Lenore, because
of course.
she actually didn't want to do it.
Because she's not a bad thing. She's
different in that respect,
she's actually really more of a punisher.
Mhm.
People make their own choices. Like, it's true. Like, you could, that's why I loved Mark's interaction with her, because she's like, oh, perfect. Thank you. Like, she even said thank you. I think she wants to see good in people. She wants to see the best in people. She wants to know that people care more for, the ones that they love and everything, more than power and money. I mean, it's just, she's probably
she
seen that
does.
more
I mean,
times than not. Yeah.
when she lays out the deal to Roderick and Madeline way back when, New Year's Eve 1980, she tells them, here's what I'm giving you. You can do whatever you want to with it. You can do good, but they immediately went the dark side.
Yep.
Right.
They went to the dark side.
The craziest part is they probably would have already gotten away with it. That's what's crazy.
That murder they probably would have gotten away with, but
the whole thing, they were well on their way toward that success without her help. I guarantee you they would have made it. With Madeline, how driven and determined she was, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have succeeded on their own.
Well, she did say that she would make it so they'd never get caught, they'd never get prosecuted, and they never did. They tried, but they never succeeded. So she gave them a kind of this immunity to be whatever they wanted without consequences until it was time.
Until it was time for the consequences.
Yeah, the consequences were already predetermined. But getting back to Lenore, I loved how she gave her a gift before she did, and of course she didn't get elaborate and do something crazy. She just basically off she went. But to tell her what her mom was going to do and that she was going to recover and she was going to do was quite interesting and quite revealing of that. It was a depth to that character that I didn't expect.
Really? See, I kind of saw her. It was obvious that she had some sort of, I hate to say it's heart. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, she's still technically kind of like a demon. So is it heart? I don't know. She gave her, I'm surprised you didn't see, there was plenty of opportunity. She told her to get out of that freaking building. She gave everyone a chance before she murked them to get out a much easier way, but they all just fought her. It's their own freaking BS.
Well, not Lenore didn't.
Before that, she killed them. She was going to kill them regardless.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Like, she was going to kill them, but she gave them a chance to die an easy way or the hard way. Like the chimpanzee. She's like, you don't have to do this. She was going to kill her. Yeah. All these people were going to die. That was the rules. That was part of the thing.
Yep.
That
You don't
wasn't
have to go there
about,
now.
yeah, that wasn't about like, you know, but they had
It
a
was
chance
how,
to
huh?
die so much easier. Look what she did to Frederick. Is that what?
Frederick.
Frederick.
Roderick.
Frederick.
I mean, he deserved
But he
it,
was,
too.
oh my God, did he deserve it?
And
What
that's
a-
why she actually went even harder. She's like, you're a piece of poo. So I wasn't going to do this until you brought out the pliers.
Yes.
Yeah. So the character is fascinating. I like the character a lot. I like vengeance. Vengeance makes me really happy. And I think some people deserve shit like that. You know, I do. I'm like, yep, just give me those shears there. You know, like, but I do appreciate that. Yes, she fulfilled the contract. She didn't want to do it, but I get it. We don't know if she is beholden to someone else as well. You know, we don't know what all the ins and outs of that story are, or if it's just, you know, I like the idea that it's contractual and she just feels it and that's the way that it is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, as we're winding through the last episode, Roderick kept quoting stanzas from the poem, The Raven.
Right.
And they were so fitting, and it made me see the poem in a totally different way.
Have you watched my reading of The Raven? Like, I've read it last year. It's on my channel. Like, I love The Raven. It is like,
Oh, I memorized it when I was like 20.
yeah, it's so beautiful. Like, it's such a sad, it's painful. It's just because basically, you know, Poe was tormented and he went crazy. He basically went crazy because of, you know, missing someone that he
All
loved.
the stuff he wrote was absolutely from a tortured mind. Yeah. And the way that he described it, you know, it's one of those things where I'm glad I found him. I think when we're younger, we're more open to that stilted writing style from the, you know, ages ago, you know, like in 1800s, etc. As you get older, you get, at least I get less patient with that, or it feels more awkward or tougher to get through. But I discovered Poe when I was in junior high and just went crazy on it. Like 12 and 13, read everything. In fact, I think I got him from like Scholastic Book Club or something.
Good old Scholastic Book Club.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and it's all woven through. I loved when he was quoting the poems because it had so much relation or connection to the story. It was fascinating.
I'm surprised they didn't do like where, like right before he died, there came a rapping as of someone gently tapping. Like, I'm surprised like they didn't do that, even like as a voiceover or something, like right.
Well, he read that last stanza. He said that last stanza right at the end. He
did?
Yeah, because she comes in and she lands up on the bust of Pallas again.
Yes, I do remember that
so
part.
he rereads that last stanza.
But that wasn't they didn't do there came a tapping.
No, he never did that.
Rapping
but that's not in the last stanza. I'm just saying it's in the he went through the last stanza or a couple of them.
Because to me, that is one of my very favorite parts because it's like petrifying. It's like it's coming for him, you know, like, and I feel like that's how Roderick was feeling at the time, you know, like he was on death's door. It's like just knocking. And I loved who was buried behind the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I did not expect
and
that.
And we finally figure out who that
the jester
I don't know
was.
what that was, the jester of death or whatever that was that we kept seeing that he was so freaked out by.
Well,
so
you know that is also from the Cask of Amontillado. So if you read if you watch my channel too, I did the Cask of Amontillado. This is how much I love Poe. And I put my little jester, my little punch doll, because, you know, he talks about Fortunato being Fortunato. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. And yes, the ending with the two ushers, Madeline and Roderick, the two of them and how they go out. Watch the episode to see. Is
So good.
is one of the more terrifying elements of it. I just thought when
And then it just
the
comes
reveal.
right back full circle.
Yep, yep.
I loved it. I this was so good, y'all. I'm really
Yep.
sad that anyone had anything bad to say about it.
And Dave, you would say the special effects are top notch. Like,
Oh, of course, yeah.
the-
I don't
the,
think that was ever in question when it comes to
Yeah.
a Mike Flanagan joint, right?
Yep. The telltale heart part was incredibly gruesome. The dream sequence. You know, every time he would have those weird dreams when he's talking to Dupin,
Yeah.
Roderick. The dream sequence that he had with in the Pit and the Pendulum with
right.
the young Frederick showing up
Yes.
was even more powerful than the rest. It was quite
Well, it's like
gruesome.
as we're watching this series, and I'm thinking, like you do in a lot of shows, this is awesome.
Mhm.
Are they going to be able to nail the end? You know, and you know Madeline's going to be in the basement, but we don't know. You know,
Mhm.
it's there's these noises, and he keeps getting texts from Lenore, and
Oh God. Yeah.
he
Oh,
keeps
I'd
saying
love
it's
to reveal
Madeline.
that
At
too.
some
Oh.
point,
Yeah.
he tells Dupin what he did to Madeline, and he goes, "Are you sure you're dead?" And I can't remember what he said. Something like,
That's
He
the
goes,
best
not.
part.
he
I
goes,
know. I love because all of a
good point.
sudden he
but
thought
when
of
she
his
comes through the
mom.
door,
You can see, yeah. All of a sudden he's
nailed
like,
it.
"Oh,
Oh, that was awesome.
shoot.
That was incredible.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
realized what I did to mom." Mm.
Yep, and got a little repeat on that. It was, and,
But I thought her death was so poetic.
mhm.
Like he really did love her. As messed up as
Well,
as
she
it
was
was
buying.
what he
She was the one
did.
that was buying all this. So stuff comes. You get the I forget what they're called, but the Egyptian mummification tools that they
Mhm.
use to reach up through the nose
Yeah,
and pull
pull
the brains
brain
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we see those early on.
Yeah.
And
They-
And
they
then
explain what
how
they
he
are.
bought her when he talks about buying her the
Yes.
jewels.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But he explains what those tools are. So
love
when you
it
see them,
all.
you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, shit."
Oh yeah.
You know,
But it's appropriate because
that's great. It's great.
I think mummification is kind of cool, honestly.
Well, he was
I mean, I don't
hauling all
want
that stuff down
I don't
there.
want I don't want my brain ripped out of my nose, but I mean, I get it. It's a thing.
I thought, and I forget who I was going to look the actress up really quick here, but whoever played Victorino or Victorine, Victorino.
Mhm.
Where is she? Oh, sure. Don't show me.
Oh, yeah, and
The
Telltale
cast
Heart.
is so
she was amazing in that.
So good.
He was
See, I
incredible. in
So
that
crazy.
Telltale Heart.
Actually-
oh
Yeah.
wow.
I feel like she was so sad to me. I felt so bad for her going loony. I really hated to see her lose it.
Just, I forgot.
You know.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Like,
Tia Miller. Tia Miller.
yeah, she
She was in something
Great.
else I really loved too. I can't remember right now, but yeah. She's phenomenal. Like, I think everyone did a great job though.
Yeah.
God.
I do too. I do too. And Mark Hamill. Holy crap.
Mark Hamill
mean-
deserves an Emmy for his
I was going to say,
supporting
well,
role.
this would be an Emmy, right? This would be an
Because
Emmy.
he
I-
was, as much as everybody else was great, he was above them all. His-
See, I don't feel that way.
Oh,
I
I
think
loved
he
his
was, I think he did great. Don't get me wrong. He did great. He was nowhere. He wasn't anything. He was just a stoic, did what, but let me tell you, like
until that speech between him
Victorine.
and
Victorine, Henry Thomas's crazy character, the daughter, I mean, the Lenore, I mean, they
Yes.
were all, I don't know. I love Mark Hamill, don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
he's got a mode, but
It was
this
a great
not.
character. It was a great character.
what convinces me of it, of saying that he deserves it, is the last speech with him and Carla's character, the Verna character. Just everything came out about his character and
Mhm.
his, there was a lot going on underneath the surface.
I
And when
saw,
Lenore told him to go off and die or something, you could see in his face like nobody's ever said that to him.
Right,
and
right.
Lenore-
Oh, that
Lenore
was one of my favorite scenes. Talk
I
about
did love the scene.
an
between them.
incredible spirit that Lenore just told him off.
Yep. And
I already told him the story, and you know what? I'm going to tell him again.
I think he
And
kind of respected it.
you stay the hell
Well,
away
the
from my
dad
nose.
did. Roderick did. So he should. The grandfather, he respected it. He's like, well, I'm kind of proud of her, and you should be.
I
But
saw
you know what? That's too bad.
I saw a tweet of his today where he said, I want to thank all the people that are complimenting on that role I can't talk about because of the SAG strike.
Oh man, what a great time to be talking about it too. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5, and we're going to pick a favorite scene. Jeff, you can welcome to pick that one if you want. Dave, you're up first.
Yeah, I mean, I think I gave it the first 4.75, and I'm going to do the same here. So that would give it an average for the entire series as a 4.75, right? That makes that kind of easy. If and I'm not sure there even is such a thing, but if not, maybe they need to create it. If there's not an Emmy screenwriting nod for this, I don't know. Do they do Emmys for screenwriting?
I
think they do.
This is one of the most impressive copulations of anything, the way they just put this all together. I know I'm just kind of repeating myself from the beginning, but I really like this a lot. I did started to get a little worn down by the fact they kept using that same formula over and over. If it had gone 10 episodes, I'd have been like, all right, I'm done with this. But it ended at 8, and that was all good. Favorite scene, there's just really, honestly, there's too many to choose from. And again, it's been a week since I've seen this, but the one that's still sticking in my head is the end of the pit and the pendulum. I was wondering how they were going to do the pendulum. There was no pendulum. I'm like, how are they going to do a pendulum? And I love how they did a pendulum.
Made perfect sense.
It was gruesome and fascinating and interesting and everything you could hope for.
And the whole this shade bit. Oh my god.
This is some much watched stuff. I don't think it's going above and beyond to say that this might one day even be taught in a classroom somewhere.
Oh wow, I like that.
Because that's how masterful it was.
I like that. That's incredible. Jeff, did you go second?
Yep.
Okay, Jeff, you're up next.
Couldn't remember.
Thank you.
Yeah, the dialogue. I mean, just little things in the dialogue, like in that last episode where he asks Dupin if he's sure he didn't want to drink while he finishes his story, and Dupin says no, thank you, and he says, "I wish I'd have said that."
Yeah.
Yes.
There just was so many lines like that in there that had extra. The writing was unbelievable, as everybody has said. Okay, I'm going 5, and I gave 5 to the first half, so I'd do 6.
Nice.
Are we looking at number 1 in your top 10, Jeff?
But it's not technically a movie, though, right?
Yeah,
we did the House of Usher got included, so we can do.
We're pretty open. We're pretty open. And as far as favorite scenes, Jesus, I actually this time I had a list of 5 just in case Dave took the first one, so I can't decide which one to pick. I loved what Dave picked, but I would throw in not just the pendulum, but her telling him, you could have had a heart attack, you could have done this, but you had to pull the teeth. You had to get the pliers.
You had to pull out the pliers.
I'm going to take at the end when he and Madeline are in the basement, and I'm going to take Madeline's speech about what monsters all the consumers are.
Oh,
that was a great speech.
None of it's their fault, and it reminded me a little bit of his lemonade speech.
I was going to say, it was almost as good as the lemon speech, right?
Yeah.
But if we're all done and nobody takes it, I got one last thing that we haven't mentioned that's got to be brought up. So,
okay, you can do that.
That's it. That's
all right. Perfect. Crystal, you're next. Go for it.
So I'm going to give it a 5. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
so this is a second 5 this month. It's gross, but okay. So there's so many favorite scenes. Like, I mean, this is such a love story to Edgar Allan Poe, and it warms the cockles of my cold heart. I just love it so much. I can't tell you. I love everything. I would say everything. I want to say when we find the heart in the girlfriend, because I did love that, and that was. But there's this conversation between Juno and the daughter, the redhead.
Tamerlane, yeah.
Yeah. And
Or Tamerlane, excuse me.
yeah, I loved that conversation because, like, poor Juno,
Where
she's a lot
Tamerlane showed a
stronger.
heart, kind of.
Yeah, she kind
Yes.
of, there's a little,
Yeah.
kind of fell
And
back a
that's,
little bit, yeah.
I think that was her problem all along. She was so hard and she refused to ask for help. She did love her husband. She just didn't know how to love him and how to, like, she didn't know how to be vulnerable to someone.
Built.
Yeah. And so the whole thing was just very touching to me. And I loved Juno, especially because even though you think that she's, the crack whore or whatever they call, addict or whatever they call her, she's so much stronger than any of them, actually. So, yeah.
The whole thing about I'd rather do 3 years of pain than a lifetime with you.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Way to you go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out for the best for her too.
And then she got clean. Good for her,
Yeah. I like that. I like when we get a little coda like that in the end. I'm with Dave, 4.75. If we did 8.5s or 9.5s, it could be in those range. House of Usher is still my favorite. I'm not House of Usher. The
that's
Haunting of Hill.
House.
The Haunting of Hill House is
That's
still my
amazing too. I mean,
all the Shirley Jackson stuff. But anyway, this there's so many, like you said, there's so many favorite scenes. We could go round and around and around for a couple minutes just on favorite scenes. But there's some scenes I want to bring out. There's one where Roderick is considering suicide, and he talks about 10 seconds to fall. And the way they represented
I did love that fall.
Because they represented it with, because he's in the office building. It looked like it was something out of the end of was it oh my god, I can't think. What is it? You don't talk about the first rule of a Fight Club is you don't talk about. But at the end of that, when they're standing there, it just had that same feeling to it. But when he dropped and the whole way, the whole room fell at first, and it was just beautiful. And they did something similar with Tamerlane too, when she broke the glass, and the whole slow-mo thing, and her falling, and when she looked up and saw the Raven girl or Verna. There were little techniques like that they had scattered throughout the episodes, and those two come to mind. Really impressed with those. The Telltale Heart part was pretty good too. Just if nothing else, Roderick's reaction.
Yeah.
Just because he was like, he's like, oh my god, right? He's practically crying, and he's like trying to get her out of there. Like, you're fully funded. Let's go do the paperwork. Let's get out of here.
Yes. Oh my god, you could see that he's like, she's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I remember what I did.
Oh god, that is so sad.
I remember.
Well, the other one I was going to mention that we haven't talked about was when Verna is explaining to him the impact he's had when he's up there in his office at the top of the tower, and we get raining bodies.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Trying to impress on him his body count, basically.
Right.
Like he's in the top 3 or 5 or something.
Top
like that.
5, I think she said. Top 5. I'm like, yes.
I can't imagine who. Well, I can imagine one, but I don't know who the others would be.
Well, one, yeah. One's an obvious one, but so anyway. But the interesting, my whole thing is like, where did this come from? So it's one of the things I always think of. I watched a documentary about 9/11, where there were people that were fairly religious. They were churchgoers, right, and active in their churches. And after 9/11, if one of their family members died, then they turned away from church and said, how could God let this happen? And my thought was, and me internally, I'm thinking, well, God gives us free will.
Yeah, of course.
What's the point? If he's going to make everything wonderful, then nothing really means anything. And so that's what I was thinking here. She gave them free will. And even after all the terrible things that he did, Juno and Mohr, Frederick's burned wife, go on to make some incredibly good things happen out of that.
Right.
And so we hear that story too. So I was kind of interesting I don't know if they try to, behind the scenes, is this a balancing thing, or is this bad has to happen for this good? I don't know. I'm thinking too much.
It can get very deep. Yes, if you let it.
I think it really is just about the whole. I think it really is.
I
just
got my
about
hip
the whole
waders
free will thing. Like they can do. I mean, even if we ignore the biblical aspect of it, it really is just about choice. I mean, they had the choice to be good. They didn't have to accept her deal.
Right. Him didn't go for it.
Yeah.
Right. But he also saw, let's be real with him. He also saw the ramifications of the deal. So that's not fair. Because them being offered this silly deal in a club or at night after they've been drinking and just murked somebody is a lot less realistic than when you've seen all this death and murder and then this to be true. He literally just killed her and saw her resurrect. Yep. That's wholly different. Yep. That's wholly different.
He already knew the deal. He knew what it was. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There was always a chance it wasn't really real. Because if someone...
Yeah, he's at the crossroads knowing who's at
another great scene where she goes and steps on the bundle that he had made.
I love that. Just the air.
There's the last few episodes, last two, the Pendulum and the Raven really sealed the deal for the series. I mean, those were more, and the end of Goldbug. I love the end of Goldbug. I don't know if I liked up to it, but I liked the end of Goldbug.
Which one was Goldbug?
That's Tamerlane. Tamerlane. That's the one where she breaks the mirrors.
The body lifestyle thing.
Her character, man. She was so
uptight.
The problem with her character was only her. Everybody else had problems, but she just, dear God, she was just so scared to open up. She had a husband that loved her. I mean, she had opportunity. She was just too blind to see it. It's very sad.
Paid for it.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. We could talk literally for another couple hours.
Are we excited?
Nope, I think we are, Dave. But we have no idea what you meant. Wow, what a tease.
That's an exit. All
right. Well, we hope Dave's okay, and
I'm sure he's fine.
He's chasing ravens. All right. Yeah. Well, Dave, Jeff, Crystal, thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
That's so weird. Dave. All right. Let's get out of here. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.